This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blood Red podcast. It is coming to you a day late this week on a Saturday because, well, there's been an awful lot of football. I will firstly like to apologise for my slightly unkept hair and hoodie. I'm on about an 11-day hangover. It's Christmas, but I'm loving life. So I am joined by Ian Doyle, Caoimhe O'Neill, and Joe Rimmer. Joe, how are you?
But if you're apologising for unkept hair and hoodies, how do you think I feel like every single day? You always look amazing.
I would have apologised on behalf of everyone, but just thought myself will do.
All right. Well, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Minus the copious amounts of food and drink. Ian Doyle, how are you?
Tired. I'm tired. I'm tired and I'm tired. And I'm not hungry and I'm not thirsty either. Although I've got a nice cup of coffee here that's masquerading as a tea because Joe can't understand simple instructions such as, can I have a coffee please, Joe? Thanks.
Well, one person who is still looking as fine as ever, it's Caoimhe O'Neill. How are you?
Oh, thanks, Connor. Do you know what? I'm like not well, but I'm also like hungover, like, but I'm not well. So I'm like, am I not well or like just really hungover from
You're really selling this podcast so far, aren't you? Basically, we've got 4 people who are just like...
I'm not hungover right now, but I'm just hungover from eating a lot of food and drinking.
Enough about our hangovers and more about Liverpool Football Club. Ian Doyle, you were at the King Power Stadium. You saw Liverpool win 4-0.
Yeah.
Oh my word, what did you make of it?
They were quite good, has to be said. You know, I've been watching them for a very long time now. And in fact, it was somebody else, because I put a tweet out saying that reminds me of a couple of games from many years ago, but somebody else pointed out and said it was like, we got. Do you want me to mention that now, or should we say, okay, we don't do that yet? Anyway, Liverpool's performance here was very good. I mean, there wasn't a single player who had a bad game. You know, I know some people might point to Mohamed Salah and the fact he missed a couple of chances, but the fact is that he kind of just wore them down, and that's why Liverpool ended up scoring those goals towards the end, because basically Leicester were completely knackered. I just think, bear in mind that they went to a team. Okay, I know Leicester. Funny enough, before the game, I was speaking to some of the local press, and they were like, I think they've kind of just hit a bit of a bump in the road, or plateaued, as they like to say, because they'd drawn at home with Norwich and got proper tonked by City, but not to the extent that Liverpool did. Bear in mind that Liverpool had gone to Qatar and they'd only arrived back, 4-5 days earlier, but it turns out that trip's been great. Not so much the fact that they won the Club World Cup, but because it was like a different environment. It was sunny eventually. The weather was certainly better overall. Good facilities. It was a bit of a break from the whole, oh no, we need to win absolutely every single game in the Premier League to do this, that and the other. And obviously they've come on with a trophy. So to go into that game and perform the way that they did, I mean, even for the first minute, you could tell, they nearly scored, didn't they? Within 1 minute. And then Mane had his chance. Trent was putting in the shots. And you did feel in the first half where the worry was they've got to take these chances, because surely there must be some point where Leicester end up coming up with some, doing a few chances of themselves, but it just never happened for them because Liverpool was just completely dominant. And any game that ends with Virgil van Dijk mowing the lawn then suggests that is how that was a nice image, because that showed you how simple it was. That it's hard to you don't want to get too overexcited with the way Liverpool do it at the moment, but even by their standards, the win at Leicester, a team that was second, who were while we all probably accept that City are probably still the one team that might catch Liverpool, Leicester was still second in the table. And to go there, and it's always a tough ground, they've got Vardy, Maddison, all those kind of players, very good players, and win 4-0 was just ridiculous. And it could have been about 10. They could have won, they absolutely destroyed them. It wasn't even like, sometimes you get 4-0s where you go, oh, that was never a 4-0, but it was never a 4-0 because it should have been about 10.
The players were absolutely excellent against Leicester, Joe. But I'll come on to a couple more who really stood out above the rest in a minute. But do you think Klopp got his tactics right? Because there's a lot of talk before the game about how Leicester were going to counter-attack and press with Vardy and be on the last man, but Van Dijk pretty much marked him out of the game, and Liverpool all over the pitch just seemed to have their number. Yeah, they did.
I thought it was so impressive because there's been big wins where you think Liverpool have been relentless. I think back to the one at White Hart Lane in the 13-14 season when they swept Tottenham away. But I don't know, Boxing Day just felt like it was all done at a canter. They didn't really seem to. They just moved up the gears when they needed to, and none of Leicester's players ever threatened to do. There wasn't really. I think Vardy, did he hit the side net?
He had one run, didn't he? That was it when he fell over.
No shots on target.
It was Liverpool never looked like Leicester were going to threaten them. So they were just so in control. So did Klopp get his tactics right? Yeah, I think he probably did. I'm being sarcastic. He clearly did. So yeah, I mean, as Doyle said, it was quite remarkable, wasn't it? I mean, I know, I don't think any of us, this is no disrespect to Leicester, we're taking Leicester that seriously as a title challenger, but to go there and to win the way they did, I'm not really surprised City lost, because I just feel like the rest of the Premier League must have looked at that and thought, well, you know what, there's an aura about Liverpool now, and I don't think other teams will really believe, City as well, will really believe that they can pull anything back. It's too much, too far, and Liverpool are just too good.
Yeah, absolutely, fair enough. Caoimhe O'Neill, I'll come on again to how, if you think Liverpool have won the Premier League yet or not, but talk to me first about Trent Alexander-Arnold.
What can you even say about him? He is remarkable, obviously man of the match, phenomenal player. Just reading Josh Williams' piece on him then, which is really good. Just like how he's a right back, but he's just doing all the things that like a midfielder is doing, and you know he's sort of changed the role of, like, I know like over the past 10, 15, 20 years, the fullbacks have been in English football have been players who go forward and help. You know, all the best teams have had the best fullbacks who can contribute to goals. But what he's done, I think, is 21 assists in 2019, which is just ridiculous. Everything he hits just seems to turn to gold, and then he was obviously rewarded with his strike, which was, you know, I think Schmeichel made it look like a better strike, but then it was really a good strike as well. And then obviously doing the Mbappe celebration was just brilliant, wasn't it? He's just such an enjoyable player to watch. Liverpool are very lucky to have him, and yeah, I wouldn't want him to move into midfield, although I know that's an ongoing debate. I just think you've got the best right back in the world right now. So keep him where he is and keep him doing great things from that position.
Ian Doyle, you gave Trent Alexander-Arnold a 10.
I did, yes.
How many 10s have you given out in your time? Maybe,
there was
two, that 3, 4?
No, that's 4. One of them was Sturridge against Chelsea last season, because he literally just came on and scored from about 35 yards. So I felt that should be slightly different. So that's almost like an exception. He has a cheeky one. The other two, I can't remember. Did I give Trent 10 against Barcelona? I certainly gave Wijnaldum 10. I may have given I gave 2 or 3 10s in that game, and I can't remember. Trent may have got 10 then, so therefore it becomes the first person to get 2.
How many separate games would you have given 10s in then? So Barcelona, if you
Barcelona, there you go, Barcelona, and you can't really count the Chelsea one, I suppose. So that's 2 games. Yeah, I don't hand them out willy nilly like somebody who goes to Bournemouth and sees somebody's got a hat trick and then gives
so
it
excited.
Yeah. So yes, what was the question? Sorry.
Just how good was he?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, he got 10. I gave him 10. He couldn't have... I mean, it was funny, wasn't it? Because after the game, Klopp was asked about him and he went, like, it wasn't a perfect game from him. And then Rodgers was asked the same question. He was like, oh, he's just absolutely amazing. You know, he's fantastic, brilliant, this, that and the other. Because it was Rodgers that gave him his first senior appearance at Swindon, 2015. Remember, I was there. Yeah. That was the Benteke made his debut for Liverpool then as well. So if you'd have said then, one of these two is going to become a massive success at Anfield, you probably wouldn't have picked Trent unless you were Andy Kelly, which, to be fair, he was right all along. But
Andy Kelly's been in Trent's corner before he was born.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a bit slightly disconcerting image there, Joseph. Thank you.
Whiston Hospital.
Yeah. I was born in Whiston Hospital. There you go. So one of us was a success. Let's hope Trent can be too one day.
Was he actually born in Whiston? I don't know.
I was just guessing, yeah. Exactly.
He might have been.
I don't know.
What was the other one? I was born in the one that became a pub. It became the Font.
Hospital became a pub.
The Font in town. Yeah, I forgot what it's called now.
The Font was a hospital?
That was where, it was there. Anyway.
John Lennon was born in there.
Me and John Lennon. There you go.
2 more successes.
Yeah, just be careful when you get to 40. Anyway, yeah. Trent, he was very good. I agree with the whole suggestion of him redefining the right back role. I also agree that there's no need to put him into midfield. I mean, he played there once against Chelsea, didn't he? Which, it wasn't even a proper Liverpool team, because it was when they were going for that Champions League final. They got beat. But yeah, it's funny because I thought Trent, when I was out in Qatar, he had a game. I can't remember which one it was. It must have been the final. Start of the final, he was absolutely amazing. For the first half an hour, he was just incredible against Flamengo. I remember saying that I don't think I've ever seen him have a better start to a game. And then he got a little bit involved with the winger. Which one was he? What was his name? Bruno Henrique. Yeah. He was probably their best player, and he gave him a bit of a tough time for a little bit. But then he came through it 'cause, Liverpool won. Flamengo didn't score. And same thing happened against Leicester. There was one bit in the first half, I think, where he did a good bit of defending where he came across and he
covered in the end, wasn't it?
Or was it?
I think so. Yeah.
He didn't know that, did he? No, he covered it for two. I think he come across two Leicester players, so he managed to clear that. I mean, defensively, people don't talk about him a lot because he has had one or two rough times, but he's played like when the game against Sané and against Manchester City. He's a much better defender than people think.
Yeah, people say that as if like good defenders never have a bad game.
It's like it is possible, but the fact that he can do all the other stuff, like I don't think I've ever seen since Gerrard. I don't think anybody's seen pass the ball with such purpose. Everything he hits, it just pings it. Yeah. Everything is just it just looks. And the thing is, I know we all after the game you did the stories about Mbappe liked the tweets that another website did, and then you had the Mascherano's tweet which just said Alexander-Arnold. Yeah. And then if anybody watches Match of the Day, every single time Liverpool are on, Gary Lineker absolutely loves him. If you've got these former players and current players, never mind what we're saying, they were saying like, oh my God, what a player, he's only 21. Then that's the sign of somebody who the other professionals, and we're talking top players here with Mascherano and Lineker, that they can just see it straight away and go, what a player he is. And the fact he's only going to get better. And he just feels like he's been there for years, even though it's less than 3 years since he made his debut. And then look what he's done in that time. Two Champions League finals, Super Cup final,
World Cup semi,
World Club Cup, probably going to win the league this year.
Yeah, I mean,
he's okay.
It's quite an exciting future, only 21. Another young defender who has risen his performances, Joe, is another Joe, and that's Joe Gomez. Yeah. And what a timely rise that has been. Two-part question, I think, to this one. One, how lucky have Liverpool been with the way their centre-backs have stepped up? And two, do Matip and Lovren walk back into this team?
We seem to ask this question every single time somebody goes out the team, don't we? Yeah. I don't think Liverpool are lucky because I think they've got three good defenders, and they're blessed to have three good defenders who can all come in. Lovren, I still think, is much better than people give him credit for. Matip, after I think a difficult start to his Liverpool career, came through and now looks great. But Gomez is the one that I think we all probably would feel that is the future there, and he's got such great pace. And he looks good alongside Van Dijk. I'd like to see him stay there. I'd like to see him get a run of games. The one problem that they've got with the three centre-halves is they seem to get injured a lot. And I know Gomez has been unlucky. He's had
some big injuries.
A leg break. It's not something that you can't suffer from leg breaks, can you? They just happen. So, but I think one of them needs to stay fit and stay there. And I do hope it's Gomez because I think he's the one that for the next 10 years or whatever he could be. Liverpool centre half, great player. Yeah, really do like him. He's so quick, isn't he? Was there a moment? It was Harvey Barnes. You all thought it was Jamie Vardy. You were all wrong.
That was Dan Austin's fault. We all said it was that.
But he raced through, didn't he? And Gomez just so quick, and there aren't many forwards in the Premier League that would be able to beat him in a foot race, would there? So
absolutely,
fair play.
Yeah, I think him and Van Dijk have such a good balance between their skills that they have with Gomez's pace and Van Dijk's just can't.
I think he's only started something like 4 games at centre back in the Premier League in a year or something stupid like that. I think it's only like about this is off the top of my head because I wrote a story a little while back. I think it's in like 25 or 26, something like that he's only ever played at centre back in the Premier League. It's crazy, I think people sometimes forget that he is. Well, he's been at Liverpool for 4 years now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How many 22, 23-year-old? How was he?
22.
How many 22-year-old centre-halves will they be playing at some of the world's top clubs? I mean, this is off the top of my head, but I can't think of that many that would be playing because I think most centre-halves get better when they mature. Van Dijk, when he was 22, where was he? Still in Holland at Groningen. So I think we won't see the best of Joe Gomez probably for another 3-4 years, will we? So,
which is quite an exciting thing to say.
And I think the exciting thing is that he's alongside Alexander-Arnold. These are the future, and them positions are almost solidified now, which is just amazing.
How old's Andy Robertson? He can't be 25.
He's 25, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. They're young guys, aren't they? And
keeper's young as well.
Yeah. So
another 25-year-old. Yeah, well...
Do you remember
Keita,
being 25?
Just about. Going to come to you about one more player, because I know you predicted the year of 2020 was the year of Firmino.
Wasn't you?
No, I thought you did Trent, didn't you? You said it was going to be
It
Trent.
was certainly Keita.
Was it Mbappe?
No,
Was it Minamino?
Said on the last podcast.
You did. The regular listeners of the Lord of
They'll know.
podcast will know. Opened the scoring for Liverpool. And again, how great is it that his performances are now starting to rise? He seems to be hitting form at exactly the right time, and so important to Liverpool as well.
Yeah, just unreal. Obviously, I think the Club World Cup is exactly what he needed to just kind of revitalise him in a way, because obviously, he wanted to show up against the Latin American sides. All of Brazil was pretty much watching the final. Firmino needed to do something to stamp down his mark on, being in that Brazil team for the next few years. And I think, he's an unbelievable option for them. And it's unbelievable to think Liverpool have got this Brazilian fella just doing the business. Like, if you think
Brazilian spine is
honestly,
incredible for Liverpool. Alisson, Fabinho, Firmino.
And Fabinho was obviously left out the Brazil squad a lot, but I don't think going forward, once he's back from his injury, Brazil would be stupid not to have him in every game. But back to Firmino, he's ridiculous, really, isn't he? I honestly do think it's going to be his year next year. I feel like it's come together. He's been at Liverpool, obviously, since 2015 I think, is he the oldest out of them to me, maybe? But I think they're all the same age, aren't they?
28, is he?
28, are they? Yeah.
I just think he's got, his work rate's always been there. And Klopp said, didn't he, I think after the Leicester game, journalists were asking about Firmino hasn't scored and all this, and, which is the common question. He hasn't scored before the Club World Cup. And then Firmino obviously ran and celebrated with Klopp because of that. I think he must have had a little bit of a word. And I don't know, I think he embodies everything that this Liverpool team is about, and we're very blessed and lucky that obviously he arrived and then Klopp arrived not long after. He was the perfect player. I don't know if Klopp would have eventually signed him, but it felt right, didn't it? And I honestly think he's more important to Liverpool, I think, than Salah or Mane, which is a big statement, but I just think he does so much off the ball, on the ball. He's Brazilian and he's brilliant.
I hope Birkenhead build their own Christ the Redeemer, but of Kiva, giant Kiva on the banks of the Mersey.
Kiva the Redeemer. It does have a ring to it. Yeah.
My only issue with 2020 would be the year of Firmino. Is it suggests that 2019 or 2018 or 2017 weren't the year of Firmino? And the thing is about, even if Firmino goes from now to the end of the season without scoring, you'd still have him in the team every single week because he just makes Liverpool better.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to score,
I wasn't
does he?
suggesting that he doesn't need... He can not score any goals next year and it'd still be the year of Firmino.
There you go.
Fair enough. Good. I'll give a brief mention to Naby Keita because he's also coming into form and it's superb to see and it's exciting. But we're going to be here to talk about players all day and about how good they are because they were sensational
Can we
against
just
Leicester.
ask one question then? Joseph Rimmer. Are you still worried about Naby Keita?
No longer. I think those
longer
worries
worried
are gone.
about Naby Keita.
Well, to be fair, it's only been I think five games now that he's probably...
It feels like the start though, doesn't it?
He's played in...
To be fair to him, to be fair to him, before he got injured against Barcelona, he'd had 5 or 6, 7 games. So I almost think it was then that that was where he was unlucky with the injury because he was already there. And I think he has been very good. But I
don't think in those games before Barcelona he was as good as he is now. He looks a lot stronger. The other night there was a couple of times where he held the ball up on the touchline and stuff, and he feels like he's adapted to the style now, and he's a bit more used to defenders coming in from behind and whacking him. And I thought he looked great the other night, and he just gives Liverpool something that they don't really have, do they? So it is great to see, and Liverpool with a new dimension going into 2020 is very exciting indeed.
It was interesting at Leicester. I'm not sure whether you picked up on this watching it on television, but at the beginning of the second half where Liverpool just dominated for 20 minutes. Yeah. Henderson Wijnaldum just went, you know what, you can go off and do your thing now. They kind of just left him. It was a bit different towards the end because by the end they were all racing forward to try and get the 4th, the 5th, the 6th or whatever, and Keita had gone off by that point. But he did look like a player that the other players have started to trust in as well.
Definitely,
and that's a massive difference when you're a new player coming in.
Well, especially when you're that creative midfielder type, you don't need to sit in now. They just let you go and roam up and play creative balls and things like that. But it's exciting in 2020 for him for certain.
Keita's 2020?
Oh,
could be.
Ian, was this Liverpool's best Premier League performance ever?
That's a good shout. I don't know. Is not a very good answer for a podcast,
Is it
admittedly.
just performance or away performance?
Well, they won 5-0 at Tottenham, as you said, but Tottenham weren't particularly great then.
Tottenham had a man sent off as well.
I'm just going to go performance.
You'd have to say that to win 4-0 at the team who are second...
And the most informed team in the Premier League when you go in. I know they lost to City, but...
And they've... they're very good at home, and they've got the kind of players, Vardy, who traditionally are a right pest for Liverpool. Although he has now, I think it's 4 or 5 games, last 4 or 5. He's not scored against them now. I think they've worked out how to play against him, basically.
Marking with Virgil.
Yeah. Who'd have thought that, eh? Best defender in the world. He's good at stopping forward. I think... It's got to be up there. I mean, there was the 4-1 at Man United. Admittedly, United had a player sent off, but that was at 3-1, or what was about to be 3-1. I mean... If
you remember that 4-1, though, United had a lot of possession and a lot of shots, and they didn't go close a lot of times.
But that was where Liverpool were chasing down United as well at that point, so that's what made it such a big win. I mean, they beat Arsenal 5-1, but then Arsenal, it's Arsenal, innit? And it was at Anfield.
And that's where I think there's a difference between like a thrilling performance, that Arsenal 5-1, well, Arsenal... I think our Echo team could probably put a few past Arsenal at that point. But it was thrilling, and there was like 20 minutes of just like the most supreme football. But this was control, wasn't it? This was like from start to finish, Liverpool just dominating everything. It was Liverpool I can't remember too many of them.
It was Liverpool basically saying, we're the best team in the world now. There you go.
Yeah, basically. This to me felt like a massive statement to the rest of the Premier League, probably to the rest of Europe, to be honest. Be like, look, it doesn't matter who's coming, who we're playing, where we're going, we are the best. And I don't know if you felt that as well. Yeah,
I thought after the game, Klopp has definitely said, like, yous are the world champions. That would have been as simply as team talk, you're the world champions, go out there and show it, and they did.
Well, Klopp said it wasn't even the best performance they had this season in the Premier League. He mentioned the City game, which, to be fair, they were very good against Manchester City. Good, yeah. And then he mentioned Arsenal. I just thought Arsenal were... Arsenal, I thought Arsenal played quite well, actually. In the first half, City, you remember, Arsenal had a few chances as well in the first half.
You just never felt like Leicester were ever going to score, and you think the firepower they have, the form people were in, I just thought it was just sensational all over from Liverpool, really.
I mean, City are better than Leicester, though, has to be said.
True.
Like a lot better than them.
So, are we agreeing this is the best Premier League performance ever or not? I think it is.
It's a difficult one to think about off the top of your head, isn't it? But it's definitely...
It's got to be up there.
It would definitely be up there.
It's got to be up there, certainly. When they write the big book of best performances, it'll be there.
And I've asked you this already this morning, and I'll come to you first about this again.
Right.
Is this the best league performance ever?
Oh, no chance.
These are the 2 games you were going to mention earlier.
Yes, going to mention, there was the 5-0 against Nottingham Forest, which anybody's old enough will remember that one, where Nottingham Forest were, at the time, clearly the second best team in England. I think Liverpool ended up playing them in the FA Cup semi-final and winning before getting beat by Wimbledon. And I think it was around. I think it might have actually been like a few days after they beat them in the semi-final, and it was a very close game. But then Liverpool just completely destroyed them, 5-0. And there was another one earlier in that season, which was 87-88, which wasn't necessarily Liverpool's best performance, but it was comparative to what happened at Leicester, where you had a team, QPR, again, for the younger listeners to be like, what, QPR were quite good. It's like, well, yeah, they were actually for a couple of years. They were top. Liverpool had, because the Kop had collapsed or something, they'd had a few games they had to play in hand.
That the drain one?
Yeah. And the QPR came to Liverpool. I remember it because Ian Rush had left for Juventus and he came back to watch them. And John Barnes was playing and all this. It's the game where John Barnes scores two great goals. Liverpool win 4-0. And it was kind of like slapping them down and saying, look, we're the best team here, not you. And it's like that's what they did to Leicester. But people even older than me will talk about beating Tottenham Hotspur 7-0 and stuff like that. They'll go to games like that where Liverpool have just completely destroyed the opposition. But then I think Tottenham in that particular game had just come up. Again, thinking that Tottenham had been relegated. They just come up with the LZR dealers and Argentine World Cup winners playing for them. Most of the listeners now are going, who are all these people?
No, do you know what? I just thought I'll give you the opportunity to let everybody know how good Liverpool used to be as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Premier League era, we were talking about that. Liverpool won the league sometimes 11 times in about 18 years or something stupid like that. But it was done in a kind of way where they were the best team and they just grind teams down. There were obviously very good performances amongst that, but because they won so many games, it's hard to remember. You tend to remember the cup ones and the European ones and stuff like that. You remember they were the bigger wins, but in terms of what they did at Leicester, it is definitely one of the best Premier League performances they've ever had. And we'll only know over time how good it was in terms of, if they win the league this season, everyone will look back to this game and go, that's the way they won it.
I'm just thinking back, I think that's the best I've seen Liverpool play in a game, start to finish. As I say, the other games had great spells, since the Real Madrid 4-0.
Barcelona 4-0, but that was a different kind of...
Barcelona was different,
It's different because Barcelona were winning 3-0.
And they had chances as well, didn't they? You know, Liverpool were just throwing everything out.
It's hard to say with two-legged games because they're in the context of the whole 180 minutes or 210.
But the Real Madrid game, Liverpool were aggressive. They were in control. Real Madrid didn't have chances. They were just swatted aside. And if you remember that, I mean, they could have won 5 or 6, 7 or 8 against Real Madrid. Remember Torres going round with a little flick, and he went round.
And you're just talking about overall performances here now.
And not spell, overall stuff. Minute 1 till minute 90.
The Leicester game is one where even people who don't follow Liverpool that well would turned on and watched it and gone, wow, these are good. Yeah. And
maybe we have our bar raised too high then, because I was just like, that was good. Like it felt like an easy win.
It was a Man City performance in the sense that this kind of stuff that they've done over the last few years, where they go to a good team and just completely destroy them, and then you just be like, wow.
To be honest, I think there was just so much going on, wasn't it? It was Boxing Day, and it was kind of like, it's been so busy that I kind of didn't really think about it until a little bit afterwards, and then I was like, quite good, wasn't it?
I said at half-time, the first half, I thought they were absolutely brilliant, and the only problem was that they hadn't scored. Yeah. And you always have that in the back of your mind when you're talking about it at that point. But now you look back and you go, the first half they completely destroyed them, totally.
Well, what that performance meant for Liverpool was they were 13 points clear at the top of the Premier League ahead of Leicester, and 14 points clear of City. But City, of course, had their game to play against Wolves last night. Well, for those of you that turned off at 2-0 like me, or turned off at 1-0 like Ian, you wouldn't have seen quite the drama that happened in...
I didn't turn it on at all.
the last, but I can certainly tell you City were 2-0 up. The game was a bit mad, Ederson got sent off. Wolves ended up winning 3-2 with an 89th minute winner in absolute scenes at the Molineux Stadium, and it means that Liverpool are now 14 points clear of Manchester City. They've got a game in hand. City have conceded as many goals now as they had all of last season. I know Laporte is a massive miss. Joe Rimmer, have Liverpool won it?
They
I know they haven't confirmed the win. I don't mean that, but
I know what you mean.
Hashtag Wolves.
I've been hurt too many times to
bring on the Wolves.
Bring on the Wolves. I've seen them fall short too many times in my lifetime. You know, I've never seen them properly win a league title. So, I won't really believe it until Jordan Henderson's got both hands around that trophy. But looking at it now, you know, if they win their game in hand, go 17. I just can't. Man City are our side that can put together the most incredible run.
They could win the next 19 games.
They could win They could win every single game.
Certainly.
But I just don't see Liverpool losing enough games to let them back into it. Because what would Liverpool have to lose? 4 or 5 games?
I think it will be 5, and it's over the last 86 league games they've lost 5. For Chelsea, that's the last 7 games they've lost 5.
You know that if we were a Man City podcast sitting around, we wouldn't be sitting here saying we'll still win the league.
If it was any other team than Liverpool being top of the table at 13 points after Boxing Day with a game in hand, everyone would be like,
yeah,
it's clearly done. Man City were 12 points clear, weren't they, last year, like 2 seasons ago? Yeah. So everyone was like, and I think Klopp said, it's won now, and Guardiola.
Yeah, was that when they beat United?
Yeah, he got like really angry. He went, it's not finished yet, even though he knew it and everybody else knew it. They just needed to get it over the line. I think, you know, when Arsenal's Invincibles, they were never this far clear. Liverpool have never been this far clear, ever. No matter how many times they won the league, they've never, ever been this far clear.
How are you feeling, Kiva?
I don't know, we are in uncharted territory, aren't we? I'm too much of a... I don't know, I can't say it's done, but if this was City, I'd say it's done.
Yeah,
so, you know, you just don't want to say it because you don't want to jinx it, do you, really? But, you know, Liverpool are far, far ahead now. And if they can get that 365 days unbeaten since, obviously, City last year, I'm honestly thinking Liverpool could be the Invincibles 2.0. Like, I just can't see who's going to beat them at this point.
At the moment.
I still think they'll lose games, but I just don't think they'll lose. I can't see them losing 4 games. And I think they're too clever and too streetwise now. It's not like they're a side that relies on defence or attack. They can do a bit of everything, and they'll draw games.
If they draw 7 games, then they're still going to win the league.
Yeah,
it's like basically if they finish the season the way they finished it last year, which was lose 1 and draw 5, I think it was.
Yeah,
then they win it easy.
But that's the point, isn't it? I think that past league experience, that experience against Real Madrid in the Champions League final, it's made them incredibly streetwise, and I just don't see them doing it again. I just don't see them letting this size of a gap slip. So I'm going to ask a hypothetical question. And it's going to be, where would you like them to win it?
I'm going to win it.
Anfield.
I'm not taking part in this.
Well, you don't have to.
No.
I can tell you.
I know where I'd like them to win it.
If Man City drop 7 points between now and the time that Liverpool go to Goodison Park on March the 14th, and if Leicester drop 8 and Liverpool win every single game, they'll win it at Goodison. They could win it at the Etihad in April. And if they don't get beaten until they go to the Etihad in April, they'll equal Arsenal's 49 unbeaten run.
Okay, I'll ask the question then.
Go on.
I hope they win it at Anfield.
I said if not Anfield. But I would like them to win it at Anfield, obviously. Anfield is the obvious answer.
Anfield, sorry.
Where are they last day of the season? Where are they last day of the season?
Newcastle.
They're away.
Yeah.
So what's the home game before that?
I'm not sure, but you can't choose Anfield.
Why can't I choose Anfield?
Anfield is
the
obvious
answer. I want them to win at Anfield. Everyone wants to win it at Anfield.
Yeah.
It's just, what away ground would you pick?
Well, I want them to win it on the last day of the season with the last kick of the game, having City pulled all these points back. because
we'll get
I always imagine
for the drama.
Is it because we'll get loads of hits on the website between us? And if Liverpool win it too early, we won't.
Might help my job. But in all seriousness, I've waited so long for them to win the league. It's a bit of an anticlimax. It should be drama. We should be crying on the last day of the season.
No. It's funny you should say that.
Around the country.
I know where you're coming from, but because I was thinking about this. But it's like, no, because how much of an anticlimax was it last season, the last game of the season? You wanted to win it with
that atmosphere.
You want to win it. You want to win it. You want to win it with games to go. If Liverpool, let's put it this way, because then they can concentrate on the Champions League final again.
that 30 seconds when we all thought they'd won it when Brighton scored was the best 30 seconds of my life. And you can make all the jokes you want there, but that was
you engaged now, yeah? Yes.
We'll leave that one there.
Yeah. But that was a great 30 seconds. Hopefully no one from home's watching this. Samuel, I love you. But yeah, it was a wonderful moment thinking, they've won it here. No, they hadn't. So yeah.
Hang on, so that was even better than when they beat Barcelona. Let's just presume you're talking about as a Liverpool follower.
I'm just totally exaggerating, but it was good, wasn't it? Istanbul was better.
None of you have answered my question, but anyway.
I think you obviously want to win it at Anfield, but I think it'd be sweet to win it, obviously, in Liverpool. So Goodison Park is an option there, but I just don't think that'd be enjoyable.
It'd be the earliest team ever to win it.
No,
it's a long way out.
I feel like April 4th at the Etihad. If it's not at Anfield,
it's not impossible.
But the Etihad as a ground, I just don't like it.
Try not to do that anyway.
It's a bit. It doesn't feel like, where if it was like St James's Park, it's like a real football stadium, isn't it? Where you feel like the Etihad's a bit bleak of a place, but wouldn't. I mean, honestly, as a stadium, I don't like it.
I know.
Yeah?
Okay,
that's fine then. Yeah, it's fine.
I just don't like it as a stadium. It just doesn't feel like
I know what you mean.
Anyway,
but it would be nice to have Arsenal won it at Old Trafford. When Wiltord jumped over Kanu's arm.
Arsenal have won it at White Hart Lane, Old Trafford and Anfield.
Anfield,
we
not
should
bad
probably
though.
ask them.
But
When did they play Arsenal away? Oh,
that is in April, isn't it?
There you go, right. There
Arsenal
you go.
is in April, I think.
Emirates.
Sorry to go off on a tangent, but does anyone remember when Wiltord jumped over Kanu's hand? He jumped
over his hand?
He jumped very high. Kanu put his hand in the air. But anyway, that would have been a nice moment. So, it'd be nice to win somewhere like that.
Just to win it, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about the hypotheses. A very real challenge that is coming next is Wolverhampton Wanderers. We've seen what they did to Manchester City. We've seen what can happen.
The Wolves.
Bring on the Wolves. Are you worried?
Well, let's put it this way. Liverpool, that last game we just mentioned then, that played against Wolves in the last game of the season, Wolves had about 5 chances and could easily have scored. And I think it was just one of those games where Liverpool kind of got away with the lack of concentration. Wolves beat them in the FA Cup, which admittedly wasn't the first choice Liverpool team. And then when they played actually away at around this time of the year, on a Friday night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just before Christmas, Liverpool won 2-0, and that was a tough game. And that was better than Leicester's, by the way, and the ones in Qatar, which weren't very good. The Liverpool's performance that day was one where I thought, hang on, they've got a good chance of doing something here this season. I think they only dropped points in 3 games by that point. But they played really well. And I think they're going to have to play really well against Wolves. Wolves will have to make changes because their players will be completely shattered. And I think it's totally unfair that they've been asked to play 2 sort of tough games inside 48 hours, which, Klopp said, what did he say? Called it a crime.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel a bit sorry for them then, but Liverpool were in that position a couple of years ago when they played City and then Sunderland away. And even though Liverpool quite clearly a better team than Sunderland, they struggled because of the fatigue. And I think that's something that will happen with Wolves. Wolves have got some very good players. In fact, some players that Liverpool perhaps might want to have a look at going a bit further down the line. But if Klopp doesn't make too many changes, and he can't make that many, given the players that are available, I think Liverpool should have enough. But it will be a lot tougher than people are thinking. I also think, just looking slightly further ahead, the Sheffield United game next Thursday will be incredibly tough as well because of the way Sheffield United play. Yeah,
certainly. So obviously we'll come on to that in next Monday's Blood Red podcast. Wolves have lost their last 15 out of 17 visits to Anfield, Joe. But this season they're 5th in the league and they are a threat, aren't they? Without a doubt.
Yeah, they're a great side. Yeah, I quite like Wolves. They've got a lot of players to admire. I love Raul Jimenez. I think he's a bit of a poor man's Firmino. Jimenez.
Yeah,
quite like him. I think
they did steal the song, didn't they?
About him, did they?
Yeah, they've got about 3 or 4 Liverpool songs that they sing. Yeah, they were going through them all last night. I just thought they were winding up City fans, to be honest.
All right. Well,
they might have been, to be fair. They were winding up Liverpool fans in the last game of the season.
Well, actually, that's a good point, actually.
I hate their fans.
That might...
If you're a Wolves fan, just stop it. All the feed the scouts, they're one of the worst for that. I really dislike that. But I like them as a team. I like their manager, and they've got some good players.
They're attractive football.
He hates you, by the way. No. I mean, when I mean you, I mean us, because we're the press. He's got no time for them. I think that's part of the reason. Seriously, now I heard that's part of the reason why Arsenal didn't go after him.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, good manager, good team, good players. I mean, I say this a lot in this podcast, but I'd take a draw. I don't think there's no big deal, is it, at this stage of the season? Just, these are tough games to get through, and if Liverpool would draw with Wolves, I don't think it's the end of the world. But yeah, good side on the counter-attack. Saying all that, Liverpool will beat them because they beat everyone.
I think there's more riding on this game than the Leicester game because, hear me out. Liverpool will be donning their golden badge for probably the only game of the Premier League ever. So if they lose wearing that badge and Wolves fans go away from Anfield having just beat the world champions, I don't know what kind of effect that has on Liverpool. Need to lay down another marker like they need to every game, and a draw is just not suitable for the event.
I think the Club World Cup will be even if they lose, it'll make absolutely no difference whatsoever.
But I'm just saying, fans going to Anfield, you don't want to see Liverpool get beat by Wolves, do you? Especially wearing that lovely gold crest.
Why I say a draw, though, I think good teams at this stage of the season, they manage fixtures and they manage fixture lists, and Liverpool will probably make some changes. Wolves will too. It'll probably be a bit of a strange game, and I think that's where good teams draw games and people don't go crazy, don't lose their minds because they drop 2 points. People go, you know what, that was a good draw, move on to the next one. And I think Wolves, I get what you mean in terms of that. I think they're a dangerous team and a dangerous fixture to play in this fixture list, in this Christmas fixture list. So, that's why I just think get through it unscathed.
It'll be a slog. It'll be a big slog, just like next Thursday will be as well. Sorry to mention it again, Connor. But I think you have to look at these games as a group. And if Liverpool gets 7 points from 9, it's great because it's already 7 points from 9 would already open up a bigger gap than they would have had. They got on Leicester and Man City because both of those two have already lost.
I think people look at City, don't they? And they look at City last season and the season before and think that they are the benchmark for winning leagues because they just won every game. But league winning sides like United, like Arsenal, like Chelsea, they'd go away to places and they'd get draws and they'd get draws at home when they weren't particularly playing well. They just manage games. I don't think City aren't the side to look at, are they, in terms of that's how you win a league?
No, certainly not.
You win a league like this.
I think the first, obviously, we drew to United, and that felt like a good point, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think the next draw, and if it is Wolves, it'll test the fan base as a whole. How far have we come to react to a draw? Well, I feel like it might be quite relaxed.
They need to get a grip, to be honest, because they're so far ahead. They're not going to win every game. They're going to prioritise some things. They're running out of players. I just mentioned that.
Yeah.
They can only possibly change 4. They only had 4 senior subs on the bench, not counting the keeper. They won't change the keeper.
Well, you look back to that United game now, and it looks even better point than it was. I remember at the time thinking, But now you look at it and think, what a great point that was. To rescue, to keep the undefeated streak intact.
The nature of how it happened as well.
Well, it's like we mentioned the Sturridge one before. That was the same thing last season.
It was a great point, and I think people should recognise that there are times when you have to draw games and get through.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you've briefly mentioned there about the amount of available players Liverpool have, so I guess it's probably a good time for a team selection for the Wolves. Alisson's in goal for me. I just don't see him changing. He's in great form. I think the back four is going to pick itself as it is constant at the moment, just with injuries and things. Oh, hello.
I think if he's going to make a tweak, maybe
I think he's going to go 4-2-3-1 is what I think.
Okay.
I
think Shaqiri comes in.
Still not to the defence, but you crack on.
I know. But my point being is that he comes in there, Milner won't have to go into the 3 and can go to one of the full-back positions. And I think it's a tough one because I'm going to go left back. Yeah, Milner left back. There you go. Milner left back.
Okay, I'm going to go left back for Robertson.
I think Milner will play left back in one of these two next two games. But I think for Wolves, he'll keep it the same.
I'm not sure if Milner plays at left back at all. Is Robertson... Is he tired? He never seems to be. I think he's still at the King Power doing laps.
Warming down.
Yeah. So Robertson stays.
Fine. Right back Trent.
Yeah.
And then centre back is obviously Gomez and Van Dijk. If you think he's going 4-2-3-1, is that you're sticking with that?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some changes, yeah.
Okay. So who's in your 2?
Well, Henderson's one of them.
Mm-hmm. Is he recovered from that knee injury? Yeah. He had a knock, didn't he?
He's on his shin.
Yeah.
Was it just cut, wasn't it?
Just a cut, yeah.
Oh, right, okay, fine.
Took a whack. He was complaining afterwards, said he could have stayed on. I think Lallana might play, I don't know which game Lallana's going to play in. I thought Lallana did well when he came on.
It's coming back to your point about how Sheffield United play. They are compact, they don't really come forward. Wolves break a bit quicker.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So you think Lallana might maybe come in for that one?
I'm going to stick with the Widge then, Wijnaldum. Henderson and Wijnaldum.
Okay. Are you sticking 4-2-3-1, Joe, or are you 4-3-3?
4-3-3. I think he'll play Milner in midfield, so Milner instead of Keita. Yeah, Milner instead of Keita, Henderson, Wijnaldum.
You can't take Keita out right now. I don't think. I thought you might take him out for the Leicester game just to add a bit of brawn to the midfield and a bit of experience, but he's just playing too good to leave out. So he comes in. I think Henderson, obviously, if he's recovered, which it sounds like he is, and Wijnaldum.
Well, do I have the deciding casting vote? I think I'm going to go say Henderson. I'm going to say Wijnaldum, and I'm going to say Milner. I think it's your more solid midfield. I think it's your more tried and trusted. Even if you think about it for 60, 70 minutes in a game, then bring on someone like Keita or bring on someone like Lallana. I just think that is going to be the one he sets up with. Wolves are a threat. They've got threatening quick players, and I think that would be the one. So
Wolves will make changes though. They'll have to.
Yeah, they will, but I mean,
I
just don't think you can look at the way Wolves are playing, and as I said, they're 5th in the Premier League. I think they're a good side, so I think he's going to go for a more stable midfield than one that's going to try and attack from the off and break down Wolves from minute 1. Personally, so that's 2 versus 1 and 1. So no.
I don't care. It's not a popularity contest. I'm happy in my own mind with my selection. Front 3. Well, I'm going with the 3 and the 1. So
you carry on with your team.
I'm going to have Shaqiri on the right, Firmino, Main, and then Sele up front.
Excellent enunciations. And for you, Jay?
Div for...
Mane?
Salah.
No, Firmino.
It's not going to be Firmino 2019, is it?
I feel like one of them will come out, but I just don't know. I just don't know who to take out. I can't make that decision right now. Jürgen, you'll have to do it. I can't do it. So I'll just play the 3 of them. I can't decide. I'd be a great manager, wouldn't I? Listen,
do you know what?
You're all playing great.
Between yourselves,
delegations.
Sounds like James Pearce. Yeah. Well, the only thing that we knew with James Pearce is he wasn't coming off the pitch. That was the only thing.
I'd probably take out Salah, I know he has the moment of gold and brilliance in him, but I just think maybe he's put in a massive shift against Leicester. He played a lot of football, maybe a little bit tired, and bring him on later in the game. But it's going to be an interesting team selection. There certainly will be changes. Give me a score prediction, please, Ian Doyle.
2-1, Liverpool.
Keeper O'Neill.
3-1, Liverpool.
Joe Rimmer.
1-0, Liverpool.
2-0 Liverpool. Don't think Wolves will score. Van Dijk is excellent. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back on Monday when we'll hopefully be talking about another Liverpool win and more points ahead at the top of the Premier League and some more happy days. Have a good rest of your Christmas break, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening.